Hey YouTubers, I'm out here piddling around in the garage a little bit today, and finally the sun came back out and it's at least going to be tolerable weather for the next 3 days. So I want to try to make a little headway on this upgrade project for the S10 Blazer. I wanted to point out, or at least mention to everyone, how absolutely convenient it is having another LS block and heads and everything in your garage to kind of mock things up. You know, it's saving me a ton of time when I get in the middle of doing the cam upgrade and all that in the actual Blazer. Being able to, you know, check the degreeing of the cam and doing all that stuff. Plus I've got extra timing chain covers, extra valve covers, all that stuff that I can already have cleaned up. New put new gaskets in the valve covers. I can put a new front, I guess, dampener seal, or, you know, the cover seal. I can have all that cleaned up and ready to just bolt right back on to the Blazer during that process. You know, that's going to be a huge time saver. So basically today, and I did kind of cheat you a little bit, I just set these 2002 862 heads on the block with just 2 head bolts, just so I could mock up my power steering delete and all, you know, because that's another thing. I get to mock everything up in here in the garage, so that once I, you know, start that project of tearing into the Blazer, it's going to be a lot more fun. It's going to go a little bit quicker, and I won't be so stressed out. So let's see if we can get a little bit of work done, maybe on a time lapse, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, just to kind of review my little time-lapse game there. I just went ahead and threw the front cover on the engine, just uncentered on the crankshaft, just to kind of keep dirt out of there, and, you know, don't let anything get all over there, just in case it falls off this AC bracket. But I wanted to kind of go over what I'm trying to do to create this AC delete pulley situation. Basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the truck AC bracket, sectioning off the part of the bracket that I'm not going to use anymore. That's basically so when I get to the point where I'm trying to run my turbo crossover, because I'm going to have a front crossover on my turbo setup, all this is removed. The power steering pump, lines, all that junk is out of my way. I don't have to worry about it. So basically what I had learned through my research up there in Oregon, who had a very similar setup to this, because I'm using his lead to try to make this happen. And again, what I've got is a Dayco 89015 pulley, which is just the pulley that you put on your tensioner on your water pump for the truck accessories. I had mentioned in a previous video, but I want to make sure and hit it again. This hole is too big for the 10mm M10 bolt that holds this, that would hold this on. So Dayco also makes an adapter bushing that goes into the pulley to adapt it down to the 10mm size. So now we've got that problem taken care of. Where the hard part comes in is getting the M10 1.50 thread bolt long enough to test fit all this stuff to make it work. The problem is, I'm not sure what he did differently, but you need a 160 millimeter long bolt. Well, feel free to do a little bit of a research online. That bolt is hard to get unless you buy bulk, an industrial bulk box of like 100 or something, or you got a chance getting it from Hong Kong or Canada or something like that. Basically, I've had an issue twice now where I've talked to the guys at Fastenal, ordered the bolt to be delivered from the warehouse in Kansas, and somehow the order didn't go through. So a little bit frustrating when you drive, you know, over to Lee Summit thinking you're going to finally get your bolts. You can do a test fit on your power steering delete setup, and you walk in the door and the guy says, "Oh, nobody ever put that order in. I apologize." I'm like, all right, let's try again for tomorrow, I guess. So basically, I'm just going to have to hold this on there to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So you've got your pulley. If you guys can see this, you've got your pulley with your adapter, and what I've rudimentarily, I've just eyeballed it on the vehicle, a 1 inch. Okay, that is a 3/8 center, 3/4 diameter by 1 inch tall bushing or spacer. So I'm pretty sure that once I get my 160 millimeter bolt, because this is a 120 millimeter bolt, which in his video he says that's what he used, has to be an oversight because it doesn't even reach the head. Like when you put that in there, it doesn't even touch the head, and you have to be able to account for the spacer to get this away from the aluminum, plus the little bit of it's the pulley, the thickness, this little bitty thickness of this adapter, plus your 1 inch spacer to get it away from the bracket so it doesn't sit there and rub. So at this point, because I can't really tighten it down, I'm just looking at the spacing between this bracket and the pulley, the bracket and this idler, and trying to get them at a similar distance. I think I'm going to be okay as far as that alignment with the 1 inch. I can machine down that 1 inch spacer if I have to, or you can just throw a washer behind the spacer as you're installing it on the vehicle to get that belt aligned perfectly. But like I said, it's really tough to find these 160 millimeter long bolts. It's very helpful to have a extra engine and stuff in your garage so you can kind of mock this stuff up and kind of get all this scienced out before you're in the middle of trying to do it under the hood, reaching over into the engine bay and trying to take stuff on and off, and you know, yada yada yada. But hopefully, now that the weather's getting good, I'll be able to get swinging on this thing and try to get some more progress. I've got some more transmission parts on the way. I end up having to return that shift improver kit and instead order the B&M Trans Pack so that I can modify the valve body to be able to hold first gear. Changing the engine mounts, both frame and engine side, because I found out I can lower the engine almost an inch. It's like 910 thousandths according to their website published specs on these engine mounts. I can literally lower that engine down 910 thousandths, which will help as far as getting my angle appropriate on my output shaft on my transmission to get my driveline angles corrected. And then I have an option, still yet undecided, with those LSX Innovation adapter plates on the block. I can move the engine back towards the firewall about 7/16 of an inch if I have to. It's not really required, but I'm trying to discern whether that will help me in any way as far as installing the transmission, which I doubt, because as it sits right now, even with the engine partially tilted backwards, let's call it, it's really super hard to get to the bell housing bolt. So we will get the engine mount swapped out, get the engine set a little bit lower in the engine bay, then we'll make some decisions at that point. So again, I'm just trying to mock everything up and get everything done that I can, so that when I get right in the middle of this project, it'll go smoothly and I can get it done quick enough to get this thing on the road and make sure it's drivable and ready to have some fun before April 27th. So anyway, that's my update video for today. I did post a little short video earlier about the removing those wedges on that Dorman intake. I just had that little clip and I was like, man, I want to show this information, but I don't really have a full video made up on the final intake, if that makes any sense. So anyway, that's where we're at. I am now going to pull out an old truck dampener, and I'm going to use a brake hone to hone out the center of it to make it a slip fit and not a press fit, so I can use it as a centering tool for installing the front cover. Hopefully you guys are following what I'm saying. To properly locate your front cover over your timing chain, you're supposed to have a tool that slides over your crankshaft snout, and it will center your cover before you snug the bolts up. Well, the cheap way to do that, if you happen to have access to extra dampeners, you just hone the inside diameter out slightly to get a slip fit on the end of the crankshaft, and then you've got an alignment tool for, you know, next to nothing if you happen to have one. So anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys spending time with me during this process. Like, subscribe, and share.